I appreciate it. It looks like we've got a full house, and that's awesome. I appreciate everyone being here and being abreast of what we're doing here in this wonderful district. So right now I'll do a call to order. Peter Vince is available. Centelia is here. Mike Rawls is here. Excused tonight is Megan Colley. So we do have a quorum. Any introductions tonight, Karen?
No, the only thing I would like to do, if it's all right with the board, is I would like to read our land acknowledgement before we go much further.
It'd be a perfect time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. This is from the Lincoln County School District Equity Team Land Acknowledgement Statement. It is on your screen and I will read it. We ask that you take a moment to stop what you are doing to listen to these words as we recognize the land that we currently inhabit. No matter where each of us is physically located in Lincoln County, we must understand that we are on traditional homelands and unceded territories of Indigenous peoples. Where we live in Lincoln County, these are the ancestral homelands for the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. Lincoln County School District acknowledges the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians that consists of over 30 bands originating from Northern California to Southern Washington. The Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians currently occupy and manage 9,310 acres located here in Lincoln County, but is a mere fraction of their original 1855 1.1 million acre Siletz Coastal Reservation. We must remember the people of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians are and will forever be the first stewards of this land, water, and fish. We acknowledge and recognize the continued sovereignty of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians and honor their ancestral homelands. We are committed to bringing awareness to their history and the existence of the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians since time immemorial.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you reading that. And okay.
And Madam Chair, I just want a quick announcement there to let you know that you'll probably see the little reminders that I'm making the appropriate folks co-hosts. So excuse that interruption as it comes, but I want to make sure that everybody has the ability to speak when it's their turn.
Okay, thank you. You're on top of it, Eddie. So it counts. We have no written communication at this time. Do we have any blue cards that have been presented tonight?
No, ma'am.
All right. Moving along, in recognition right now, this is really amazing. Dr. Karen Gray was the winner of the Oregon Music Educators Association Administrator of the Year Award. She attended the awards banquet where she received her award. There was some very nice press that was done on it. Outstanding that Karen has brought the love of music to all of our students in our district. And this is a big deal. And we applaud her, we support her, and we're just anxious to see this whole music program continue on, Karen. So thank you for the work that you've done. It's really an award well earned. And I think our music program is just going to grow and grow. So thank you again.
Thank the board for their unwavering support of our music program.
It's pretty exciting. We have a really big day coming up this month, and it's a bus driver appreciation month. And we know these guys are the nuts and bolts of getting our kids to school safe, making sure everybody's taken care of, picked up at the right time, dropped off at the right place, all the things that they do. And, you know, think about it, they really set the tone for the whole day for a lot of students. And we've got kids in our district that are on the bus for hours, just with the geographical, you know, distance that we're on. So I know I was one of those that rode the bus for 2 hours when you live in Depot Bay, so I know how important a bus driver is. So at this time, if I may, I would like to read a resolution, Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Whereas the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors officially recognizes all school bus drivers for their continued and exceptional services to the youth of the county. And whereas school bus drivers practice behavioral management skills to support each child in becoming a safe and successful rider while actively building a respectable, kind, and working relationship with the students, their families, school staff, and the district employees in the performance of their duties. And whereas school bus drivers dedicate their time and energy to their initial and continued education to promote safe student transportation and uphold high standards for the school bus drivers as prescribed by the Oregon Department of Education. And whereas our community and district depends on, appreciates all school bus drivers every day, and would like to recognize their hard work and dedication to the students and families of Lincoln County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors proclaims February 22nd, 2022 to be School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. And be it further resolved that the Lincoln County School District Board of Directors strongly encourage all members of our community to join with it and personally expression appreciation to our bus drivers for their dedication and devotion to their work. And that will be adopted today, the 8th of February, 2022.
So, Madam Chair, what would be nice is if our wonderful local manager of our bus transportation, she just put a little happy thingy on there, Darlene Van Riper, would you, unless you've got curlers in your hair or are in your gym jams, could you put yourself on there so we could see your fabulous self? Not really. Okay. I was just hoping we could see Darlene. She just put up a little reaction, so I know she's there.
Do you want to speak at this time, Darlene, or do you want to wait?
I don't know if her audio might not be connected or something.
Okay.
We've had all kinds of weird stuff today.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so
Woohoo.
my home computer does not have video, so I apologize
Oh,
that
got it.
I do not have curlers in my hair, by the way. Not long enough. Thank you very much for this token of appreciation. It's very much needed for our drivers. They're doing so much for the community, so much for our students. And I'm one of them. I'm out there with them, and we're actually celebrating pretty much every week. We're doing something nice, and the report says what we did the first week. So little flashlights, headlamps, so that they can actually do their pre-trips without using with their hands, actually doing what they need to do safely.
I think that being a bus driver, except for being a kindergarten teacher, would be, Katie Barrett, would be the most difficult job on planet Earth for me to do. To think about that they are up at the crack of dawn, no crack of dawn, dark. They're out there in the dark, picking up kids and running them around the district in a safe way in those gorgeous big buses we got. And all of the issues we've had around staffing and how difficult that has been, and the fabulous work that Darlene Van Riper has done and that Sarah Monroe did when she was here. Our own Eddie Symington is still driving a bus and still going on trips and still, dragging kids all over the universe, which he loves, by the way. And I just don't understand how people can do it, but they do it, and they do it year after year. So we've really asked the buildings to really be the ones to celebrate the individual bus drivers, because they're the ones that have the deepest relationship with them. We appreciate our relationship with First Student. They were an excellent decision of the boards to move to that company. Congratulations to Rich Baloney, who oversees transportation, and just all the hard work it has been to keep kids coming to school during COVID, including feeding 1 million meals last year.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and the list goes on. They're absolutely amazing. Thank you.
And the
for
list goes on.
highlighting. You know, it's not getting them just to school, it's getting to music and sports and, you know, every place they need to be. So again, we salute them and thank them very much. So awesome. Anyone have anything else at this point to add? All right, moving along. We have the LCEA regularly monthly report from Peter. Good evening to you, Peter.
Evening, Liz. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Good. So everything that changes stays the same. As we all know, earlier yesterday, the governor came out that said perhaps by March 31st that we would not be having, or we might have local authority or the option, as long as we with the OHA, to reduce the use of masks in schools. That is a going to be a topic of discussion we usually have weekly meetings with Dr. Gray and Tiana to discuss these things. That during that meeting in the next coming weeks, this will come up again and again and again, so we can figure out how do we do this safely. I think Dr. Gray and I are on the same page about safety first. And we're gonna have to figure out how that's gonna look, what that's gonna look like, what does that mean to our community members? What does that mean to our students? What does that mean to our staffs, all the different staffs that we have? That's gonna be, an important discussion for everybody to be partaking in, listening to what the community needs, what OHA is telling us, what the science is telling us, what our employees are telling us, in order so that we can provide an ongoing education in a pandemic. Over the last 18 months, we've had a lot of successes and some unsuccesses with providing education on a daily basis for our students, and we need to continue to do so. I represent an organization, and we're going to have to come to the table as an organization and say this is what we're going to support or not support. So just letting you know that there will be some discussions on our side that we'll bring to the table so that we can let you know how we feel about what's going to happen or could happen or should happen. Again, in the past, we've been able to work together through some very difficult issues. It will be our expectation to do the same with this ongoing issue and whatever else comes down the pipe. If someone told me that we would be still doing this 2 years ago, I would, and I don't know what's coming. I don't know if anybody does. But just a heads up, we can work through a lot of stuff together as long as we respect each other's opinions, ideas, thoughts, and the processes that we will need to make things move slowly and surely and safely. On topic number 2. So, teachers are still trying to do the best they can. There's still struggles in every building. There's still hero events in every building. Every building has some sadness most days. Lots of days, there's lots of joy. We still have a lot of behavior issues. Kids are catching up. They're trying really, really hard. But I think we all need to take a little step back and realize last spring was not good for our second semester last year wasn't good for our students. The way that things were done, the distance learning really put a lot of kids and a lot of our students in a bind. Teachers are working through that with the students. The administrators are helping. Everybody's on board to get kids to move forward. And we still have to remember that rigor does count. Rigor doesn't matter. And that's a lesson the students are relearning this second semester. We've had a couple of new hires as teachers. I believe 4 in the last week or so. Hopefully that trend don't continue, but we're doing the best we can. I won't talk about subs because we all know we don't have them. That's unfortunate. Teachers are scrambling to help each other in the buildings. One of the things that you can say after 18 months is that the camaraderie, the love, and the kindness that teachers are showing each other is still increasing. It's not going down, which is pretty phenomenal. You know, everybody, I don't know, I haven't read too many articles on COVID fatigue because I'm too tired. But COVID fatigue is a real thing. But a lot of our schools are not seeing that. And I think that speaks very, very highly of the teachers that we have here, the commitment they have to the students, and the ongoing belief things can get better. And we're trying. So thank you for your time. Dr. Gray, congratulations on your music award. As you know, I'm a true lover of the music. I can't play a musical instrument, but I am the type of person that's supposed to be in the audience. So I think the important thing to remember that music is for everybody, whether you're tone deaf like myself, or you can play a musical instrument like Dr. Gray can, and lots of other people in this, you know, broadcast tonight. But we appreciate the efforts and the need and just the wonder it's bringing back in the school. So thank you for that. Teachers continue to struggle, but we stand up, get ready, go to work, take care of our kids, repeat week in, week out. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Peter. Again, we're making it through, like you said, day to day and week to week. And I applaud our staff because, you know, they see where they want to go and how we're going to get there. And it's one foot in front of the other. And I appreciate everyone's work that they're doing. So thank you so much. We're going to move on to East Area reports. I see Liz is here for Toledo Elementary. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. Mr. Cedar's on too. So while I get set up, we have a quick little presentation, but I just wanted to say how much that thank you for having us speak this evening about the East area, and huge appreciation to our school board. We do have some boomer swag to give to you. We were planning on giving it to you in person, so we will get it to you. Just next time we see you, we'll be there to do that. And then just a big celebration while we get set up is that we've been able to stay open, which has been just, it's what all our students need. And we couldn't do that without the bus company, without Sodexo, our custodians, our cafeteria support, and our district office support, our union partnerships that we have, both classified and certified. And just the amazing staff that we have. I know I have a couple staff members on, and they just the feeling coming into our buildings is just phenomenal. And my front office staff and the assistant principal, Jana Limbert, she's on. There's been a couple trips that we've had to go on, and I was out sick, and I just know that if I'm out, that the building's still running smooth. I know they missed me, but I can guarantee that they're all in good hands while I'm out. So I am going to share my screen. Get started. It's hard when you have multiple screens going. Okay. Okay. Can you all see that? Yeah. Okay.
Yes, looks good.
All right. So first we're going to get started with Toledo Elementary. Another positive is that we have the highest elementary school percentage of regular attenders in the district. So we pride ourselves on that this year because in the past, it's always been a competition with some schools. We did drop a little bit from December to January with the surge, but I think that's as expected. Our focus on students who are quarantined and really trying to keep those students engaged while they're at home and continue their learning. Some are tier 2 students, so those students that are almost quite, but not quite there, developing some different groups and realize how can we make those connections and be really explicit and saying, hey, if you're here these next few days, you're going to be able to get to be a regular attender. And then we celebrate all of our students who are in tier 1, those regular attenders, and the students that are making growth. It's important for those students that are showing those big growth gains that they get celebrated as well. Some great things that are happening in the school, and having to go with Dr. Grace support with our music program is phenomenal. So Miss Gibbs submitted some stuff to me. So PDX Jazz reached out to our school regarding jazz in the schools. And with this program, our students received a presentation about jazz music and about art supplies to work on their own jazz album covers. So some of these jazz album covers, with parental permission, will be submitted to a competition to see who makes it to the semifinalist stage. And then if they're chosen, then they get to be, their album covers get to be presented at the Portland Art Museum. So fingers crossed we'll get some submissions there, and maybe some students that go on to the semifinalist stage. So there are some students that were doing it in the music room creating, and then just a few of the examples of what our students created. So we do still have our TAP, which is our Tribal Attendancing Promising Project. And this is mainly to help increase our student attendance. And it was not just with our tribal population, but for all students that attend Toledo Elementary. And so we have Fish Martinez that is with us this year, and he has partnered with our Indian education teacher, Felicia Howe, and they've been really creating a lot of going in and creating projects within the classroom. And what you see is 2 different projects here. You have the 3-strand hair pipe bone necklaces that some of our stiff classes were actually making them themselves. And then another was the gray pine cone exploration and pine nut extraction process. And through these projects, they've been able to go in and just strengthen their relationships with these students. And that way, and relate it to attendance as well. So if there is a student that comes up that has some attendance difficulties, then both Fish and Felicia are able to have those conversations with those students and then reach out to the families for support as well. So we're super excited. And along with Fish, I know Peter talked about it, Peter Vinci, we put it on pause for just a little bit, but hopefully we can get him back in. But Peter and Fish are going to partner on a photography project with some of our students. And so be able to get some photography projects, and the way Peter can get into our school a little bit more. So we're excited to see what that holds for us in the spring.
Awesome.
And then just some happenings in the classroom I wanted to show you, because it's always fun to see the kids. Kindergarten just completed a unit on insects and garden helpers. And so what you see here is they had, after they completed the unit, they had to write the room. And so they went around and were writing all about different things that they were noticing. And this was actually in Ms. Rzuski's classroom. And she stated it was just complete engagement. The entire time the students were engaged, and there was a lot of collaboration amongst the students. They were helping each other out and exploring through the windows, and even maybe in the classroom a little bit, some insects, but the students had a great time. And then some 4th grade, they were just finished, or they're working on investigating earth materials. And here they're in the middle of a unit where they were investigating earth materials. They got a grant from the Siletz Tribal Contribution just to be able to buy some supplies. And the students have really been loving exploring rocks and minerals, but also learning about volume, weight, and measurement throughout this process. That's what you see on the left. They're exploring some stuff there. And on the right, in Miss Mignano's 3rd grade class, they've been working on growth mindset. So they've been doing something called power poses daily in class to help nurture that growth mindset. And what she does is she draws a name every morning to see who will choose the pose and a positive statement that they've created as a class. And then they get to chant the statement together of the chosen power pose. And then the other day, what you see in the middle picture is she had a math quiz turned in and somebody wrote the power pose at the top. I can be brave. I can be brave. So she was really excited. She was like, it brought me to tears seeing that they were able to take what they've been learning in class and implement it themselves. So things are working. So I thought that was really cool. And I have to call out my assistant principal and our tier 2 team. They have been working so hard of creating. Jana has created this phenomenal Toledo Elementary School check-in, check-out staff handbook. And so for some of you that may not know, check-in, check-out is a behavior, a PBIS behavior support for our tier 2 students. So for students that are tier 2 that they have just need that extra support. So they're able to check in, check out, and there's it's tied to our school rules and some incentives. But she and our tier 2 team have just spearheaded this and just taken it on and have just done phenomenal work. So we're really excited to get that started. So thank you, Jana and our tier 2 team. And a little brief update, just because I wanted to keep you all updated. We are in the final stages of our planning for our safe routes to school. So we're partnered, we had received a grant through the Oregon Department of Transportation, Ulta Planning and Design and Engineering firm, and then the city of Toledo and the county of finding different ways of how we can get more students to be able to, they call walk and roll to school. As you all know, our location makes it very difficult being a truck route. So there's not a lot we can do with down over on Sturtevant down there, but there's some great ideas of different like signage and sidewalk projects and things like that. So we're in the final stages of that. We're excited to see where that leads us here in the future. And then the last little bit, which transitioned us, is that Mr. Cedar and I and Jana and Mr. Rothenberger have been working hard together. We are in the process of creating some joint professional development with both staffs, mainly with the lens of equity. So we're excited to continue that work. And then it was funny because Mr. Richard and I had been talking about this, and then that night my daughter came home. She's a 7th grader, and she was talking to me about totally unrelated, didn't know that this was happening, but she started talking to me about some leadership projects that they're working on in their leadership class that they would like to bring down to our students. So some like kindness challenges and ways to help out our custodial staff by like the cleanest bathroom and not walking by trash in the hall and like making sure someone picks it up, and posing different challenges to our students from them. And then they're able to possibly through Zoom, make those presentations to our students. So we thought that's great to be able to, a great way to be able to tie all of our students together. So then that turns us over to Mr. Cedar.
All right.
Thank you, Liz.
Welcome.
I think you're going to navigate for me. Like Liz said, can't thank the board enough. Cannot imagine being a board member with COVID, everything that's going on. So thank you all for staying the course, and for the newcomers for joining us in this season and for carrying us through. We appreciate all the work you're doing. Mission and vision work. So we kicked off the year with mission and vision work. Had really good session. We're revisiting that this on the 14th as well, to tie that into departments and just looking to see where we are on these key areas, and if there's any adjustments we need to make and continue on through. And so the staff started with just kind of reconnect. So we have our students back. We really want to reconnect with them. And number one, we want them to feel safe, right? We want them to have a safe space. And part of that includes just cleanliness. So huge shout out to Greg. We had Mike, our head custodian, retire, and he trained up Joe to get Joe in the mix. Billy Ray is Joe's brother, he's in the mix, and Bobby. And so we got a great crew cleaning our building, making sure we can keep those doors open. And another focus is mental health. Shout out to our school counselor, Kalei Merrill. She is an amazing fit, jumped on board with us, brand new to counseling, and it is unreal the connection she's been able to make with students and be there for them for their mental health. And then just focusing in on looking at ways outside of just our school counselor. We have a lot of support staff, a lot of teachers that serve as mentors and advocates for our kids, as well as community members. Even, Peter Vincey's Aspire community member comes in and works with our seniors. It's just great having as many people in our students' corners as possible. And then also reconnecting, finding ways to keep kids involved and engaged. And so just opening up, we have clubs going on at lunch, music. Huge shout out, Dr. Gray. You're very deserving of that award. Very, very deserving. Our music teachers just thriving because of your support, and same with the programs. And then we're also, theater program is up and running. Athletics, and then just awards in general, recognizing students for their accomplishments, just really building them up. Another key area for us was increasing the value of education. So we're targeting that through equity lens and seeing, which students we're missing, who do we need to really focus in on, really push, and then have a college and career connection exploration, continue to drive that. We really want to increase our 4-year university plans. We have a lot of hardworking students, a lot of hardworking families, but we also want to we have a lot of really smart and engaged students who want to get a 4-year degree and then come back and serve our community. That's always our goal. We have a lot of amazing alumni that come back and work for us. And then just by that, just looking at course offerings, looking at expansion and what we can do to really pull in our students and increase that value of education that they want to be there. And then a quote from our coach, Jeff Taylor, just his kind of quote was, be better and be better to do better. And so we took that on as a staff, and we're trying to grow as teachers and as teacher leaders. And so focus has been language and literacy across the district, and very much so within our building, seeing a lot of growth there. Our CEO work, so Center for Educational Leadership is working with myself, Mr. Rothenberger, and other administrators of the district to improve feedback and support so that we can help our teachers grow. And then just really trying to zero in on our department grade band PLCs to increase teacher capacity through collaboration. So those have been awesome, and that's kind of been leading to next slide. Maybe there we go. So leading to some of those semester 1 accomplishments. So as Liz talked about, remaining open. I started thinking about this was the first semester we've been open since my first year at Toledo, and so to make it through a whole semester with the doors open, students in classrooms is unreal. It's been amazing. We're very blessed, and we returned all of our teachers. So our staff are ready to roll. They're on fire. We have amazing staff. They step up daily, sub for each other. There's, they're whatever it takes to keep our kids safe and engaged and moving forward. It's been just amazing. New counselor, like I talked about, she's an awesome fit. We had a really amazing theater performance, bedtime stories as told by our dad who got them wrong. And it was hilarious. We have some really amazing actors and actresses. We've had not only 1, but 2 band and choir performances this year already. We have another one in the mix, as well as additional theater performances. So the arts are up and alive out in Toledo. It's great to see us be able to bring those back. All of our athletic teams have been very competitive, and it's great to have events again and fans in the stands, even when we get the stink eye from some of them when we tell them to put their masks on and tell them, no, you can't have food. But hey, they're there, they're cheering for their team. So we appreciate that. CT instructional assistant Tucker Myers. This guy is top notch. Toledo grad, went off to college, came back, family business. Peter Lahanye, let's talk shop with him and said, hey, why don't you come work for us? And he's just been amazing, great addition to our staff. And we're utilizing him as a sub a lot of times, and he wants to go that teacher pathway. So we're working with him on that, and it's going to be awesome having him on our staff. Multimedia is a new CTE pathway that Rachel Wallace is doing. We have our updated photo gallery. Some of you got to see our previous one as you enter our school. We have student work, amazing artwork. And their photo gallery currently, when we do the opening, when things hopefully settle down a little bit, we'll invite the board for sure. It's a really great gallery. I love it. Giving of thanks. This was the first year we did a part. I think this is our third year of doing giving of thanks. It's had to kind of mold every year to roll with COVID times. And so we've been handing turkeys out and meals out to families as they drive up. And this year we worked partnership with Siletz, and so we were able to have 2 sites. So hand out, a lot of our families live out in Siletz, and so we're able to hand food out there at Siletz School as well as at Toledo. Save folks that drive. So it was great to go out there and partner with Siletz. Avid for All. So this year we've had all of our middle school students take 1 semester of just middle school kind of success classes. So an Avid focused class to build our students up. Continue, the elementary's been doing an amazing job getting students trained up in the Avid ways, and so continuing with that organization and teaching them what it takes to be successful throughout middle school and then going into high school. So that's been a good addition for us. And then another accomplishment is just increase in all on track rates from quarter marks to semester. So that was our big kind of push, was try to get these students back into being students, back on track with their grades. And so a lot of hard work and a lot of tutoring and pulling students in order to make that happen. Upcoming events. So we're going to do an academic awards assembly. Our leadership students have been mapping that out. We're going to have to do 2 separate ones. We'll do a middle school, high school one to make sure we're spaced out and COVID safe there. We're also doing mental health week and working with leadership on that, and looking at getting a guest speaker to really focus in for our students. Dinner and a show. We were going to do that on Valentine's, but we're pushing that out a little bit. But leadership's going to serve up dinner. We might even partner with our cultural foods class and get them to prepare the food. And then our theater class is going to put on a performance for that. So it's going to be a neat collaboration across some of our course offerings. Middle and high school band, both band and choir at both of those levels are going to perform at festivals. So I'm excited to see that. They're going to go watch the other schools and then perform themselves. So it's huge. Continued partnership through CTE with Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, City of Toledo, and then Port of Toledo. So working on some great partnerships there within our community. Photo gallery event I talked about, and then working on some Avid parent nights and additional recruitment to increase our Avid, as well as having the Avid at the middle school. We're hoping to really increase our numbers and students taking those Avid electives. It's great support for them throughout high school. Junior and senior parent nights, have those upcoming. College signing day, we also have some student athletes that'll be signing. I think our first one is signing on Friday, actually. So we've got to get that information out. And then college and career fairs as another upcoming events that we're hoping to be able to hold this year and bring that into our school. All right. And thank you guys. I think that was it.
All right, well, we thank you. I'm just overwhelmed by all the activity that's going on there, and how you just going forward with all the COVID things that we have to work with right now. It looks like you're way ahead. So I'm just looking forward to being in this school and seeing your photo display and everything else that's going on in Toledo schools. They look beautiful, and appreciate both you and Liz's hard work and your staff. Do any of the other board members have anything they'd like to add at this time? Okay, thanks again. I know it takes a lot of time out of your day to put a report like that together, but it's really informative and very much appreciated. So thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move ahead to financial reports from Kim. I believe those reports were sent out ahead of time, so we've had a chance to look them through, but I'll let you take it from here, Kim. Thank you.
Thank you. I will go ahead and share my screen. I can find the right one. Okay, you should be able to see the financial report now. I've updated these as of January 31st. Make this a little bigger. Oops, wrong way. A little smaller. Okay, the first thing I want to point out is last month I noted these amounts in yellow, that they were substantially lower than I had anticipated. This is county school fund money and state timber. Those come in two separate allocations. One comes directly from the state, the other comes to the county and then to us. And you can see on the note at the bottom in yellow, the state timber revenues, I checked with the county. They were surprised as well that those were down, but they are down 173,257 from the prior year. However, just a reminder that this is local revenue and this is offset by state school fund money. So as local revenue decreases, our state school funds increase. So that's not a loss to the district. It's just noting that those state timber revenues are down. And then the amount in blue for January, that is 64,850 of that is from the Oregon Department of Revenue that was given through the county to compensate municipalities for the loss of property taxes from the 2020 wildfires. And that was HB 5006. And so I want to point out that that is separate from the state school fund additional funding that there's a bill in at the legislature right now that will fund us for an additional 94 students for 5 years if it passes to compensate us for the loss of those homes that would normally house students and has resulted in a decreased ADM from those wildfires. And then the other thing I want to point out is, oops, I'm sorry. This pink number, you can see that our estimated state school fund adjustment, so the balancing payment, one way or the other between state school fund and our local revenue, looks like we need to pay back the state about $2 million because we'll be they will have overpaid us in state school fund because our local revenue is higher than anticipated when we budgeted. The reason for that, you can see the note in pink here at the bottom, is that $1.4 million of additional property taxes came in this year because Lincoln City Urban Renewal Project from the year 2000 ended this year. Those things tend to kind of fall off the radar when you're budgeting because, as you can see, that was a 22-year project. So again, that offsets our state school fund money in the formula. So as those funds increase, the state school fund needs to decrease to balance that. Do you have any questions about those items?
No.
Excuse me just a second, my lights are gonna go off. Okay, our monthly comparison, I have updated this format on this sheet a little bit to hopefully make it a little more accessible, more easily read. And I added some comments on here. The interest on investments, you can see that's down again, and that's because the rates are lower than what we had budgeted. The fees charged to grants, again, that's a timing of when the expenditures happen and also when we make those entries. So those can fluctuate throughout the year. Our ESD severe disability support payment, that was an amount that was expected in December. However, there was some miscommunication at LBL, and so the payment was made a month late, but we'll receive that money again at the end of the year. We get that in 2 payments. And then you can see this 68,000. There's the comment again about the 64,000 from Oregon Department of Revenue for the municipality wildfire reimbursement there. In the common school fund, it is down, that payment was down $72,711 from what we had budgeted. Those funds are held at the state from various sources, but one source of revenue for the common school fund is state timber. And so again, when that's down, that decreases the revenue to the common school fund as well. But as you can remember, the ones that have stars by them on this form are local revenue. So again, it's balanced by our state school funds. And then under other resources, we have some insurance proceeds, nearly $85,000 in insurance reimbursement from the theft of some Chromebooks out at the Arcadia site. The insurance company was very quick to reimburse us for those, and we have the replacement Chromebooks in the building. They came yesterday, so that was good news. It was an unfortunate incident, but that's why we have, part of the reason we have insurance, and they were very good to get us that reimbursement right away. Any questions about that?
Kim, I have just a real quick question on that last item. So
Okay.
what does that represent? About 200 Chromebooks?
It was over 427, I think.
Oh my
Chromebooks.
gosh.
We're taking steps to increase security at the building where they were located. The newer equipment is not going to be stored there anymore. Rich has finished the basement space here that will be locked and inaccessible to the general public, so that those items will be stored in a much more secure location from now on.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? Okay. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. Our purchase services monthly, you can see that professional instruction services is up quite a bit over the last several months. The comment F here at the bottom, I should have highlighted that, but you can see that $70,121 of that is Oregon Coast Community College payment for dual credit classes, early college, our CNA program, and class fees. Another approximately $70,000 is ESS subs. $15,750 is special education contracts, and $10,800 of that was professional development. And the other figures are fairly in line with what we'd expect to see this time of year. Any questions there? Okay. Our special revenue funds. Again, remember that the ones on this report with the 3 asterisks indicate reimbursement accounts. So we spend the money and then we're reimbursed by the grant. You can see we're at this point in the game, we are very up to date on our receipts. So that's good to see. This group of grants includes all of our federal ESSER funds. Our student investment account, you can see that was 1.3 million in the hole. That account is a reimbursement type grant somewhat. It's a little different than the others because they'll give us 25% up front and then another 25%. They give it to us in 3 installments throughout the year. We just received a reimbursement on that last Friday of $3.2 million. So that will bring us back in the black on that one for some time now. And the food services account, that is a reimbursement type account. We do have a healthy ending fund balance there. We are allowed to keep 3 months worth of operating expenses, which is right now about 300,000 a month. So we've got about 200,000 in there that we will be using, that we need to spend out this year. We'll be using that to do some further improvements at some of the kitchens and cafeterias around the district. In fact, Jamie Nicholson, our child nutrition programs manager, and Rich Bologna met today to discuss some of those items. So we'll be talking to you about those later. Does anybody have any questions about this report?
Kim, I have just a real quick one about,
Sure.
maybe we talked about this before, an outdoor school. Are we planning outdoor school for spring, or is that just going to be put on hold for another year?
We have a contract with OMSI, and Dr. Katie Barrett could speak to this a little more clearly, but we do have plans for that. You can see there's $56,000 encumbered so far. We've spent 24,000. That reimbursement happens at the end of the year. So we don't get reimbursed for any of that until everything is closed out, and then we submit a claim to them. But yes, we do have plans.
Okay, good. Because I know that's a real valuable program for kids. They get out of the schools and they, it's just a different learning environment for them, and that's real positive.
Right. On our bills and claims, over 5,000. Right here, you can see we bought $53,000 worth of projectors. A good chunk of that was from our ESSER funds. Here's the payment to Oregon Coast Community College. That also, so 70,000 of that was from general fund. The rest of it was from high school success funds. And so that included also our welding program and some other programs. We have a payment to DSL Builders for $353,000 for work on the Quinnieview gym. So that's moving forward. And we have 2 payments here to music companies for about $26,000 for instruments and supplies. Payment for math curriculum and some professional development to go along with that. And then I also wanted to point out the additional custodial to Sodexo. Right here, this month was $14,500. They have not been able to fill the additional halftime positions that we gave to each school from our ESSER funds. Just lack of staffing like everyone else. So that represents overtime for our existing staff. Any questions on this report?
Does that come out of ESSER funds or?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the investment report. And you can see that interest rates have held steady this for 3 months in a row, although they are very low.
And Kim, when the Federal Reserve pops up the interest rate, will those go up, do you think?
It's hard to say. The LGIP fund is managed by the state. I would hope they would go up, but they do tend to move slowly.
Okay.
I think they're also governed by different interest rates. I asked that question of our financial manager in a different circumstance, and I'd be really interested to see how those two articulate.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Kim tonight? A great report. I kind of like how you redid a few things. I think that's going to be helpful. And again, I like how you pointed out where there's areas that might be looked at a little differently. So thanks again.
You're
Awesome.
welcome.
Thank you. All right. We have first student, Darlene Van Reeker. She did submit a report for all of us in our board packet. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Darlene?
No, everything that I wanted to report is in the report. Thank you.
Again, I thank you for a very thorough report. I mean, this is awesome. Of course, to me, I'm looking at the shortage again of bus drivers. We seem to kind of be hanging on about the same numbers there. And I know that you're continuing to recruit, but really appreciate your time and putting together a very thorough report.
Absolutely. It's not only that we're recruiting, everybody else in the county is recruiting, which is pretty difficult to increase our employees numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, we're trying, we're working on it, and we're doing it.
You set a wonderful example, and I just appreciate all your hard work. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any board members have anything they'd like to add right now? Okay, moving along. We're on to board reports. And let's see, do you want to start out with Peter? Would you like to give a small report on what's happening?
Yes, I would. Listen, Liz and Richard gave such great reports on what's happening in the East area. What I'd like to share is I had the privilege of accompanying Dr. Gray and her administrative team to Phoenix for the Solution Tree Professional Learning Communities Conference. It was incredible. I learned a ton. Even what the idea behind a professional learning community is. And I think the board is a professional learning community, and we're part of Lincoln County School District's professional learning community. And I really like feeling connected to everybody on that level. The whole idea behind it, from what I understand at this point, is professional learning communities really stress collaboration among teachers and other professionals in the schools. And there's an intentionality toward providing what they call a guaranteed viable curriculum. And that is that every student is going to learn the essential curriculum across the board. And with that focus, that's something that's achievable, especially through the collaboration. We've seen that addressed before. I got to attend presentations by the experts in the field, and that was really thrilling to see. In this, first of all, it's one of the largest rooms I've ever been in, the Phoenix Convention Center, 2,000 people. It's just, we were talking about, it could be 3 or 4 basketball courts full of space. Anthony Muhammad is top person, Robert Eaker, Luis Cruz, Mike Matos. I went to see Sharon Kramer. One that I really liked was by this guy from LA, Shakori Hawley. He talked about language and culture, and in terms of equity, I thought that was really great. And Doug Reeves was one of the keynote speakers on the last day. A highlight for me, I have to say, was having dinner with Doug Reeves and Bob Eaker. Maya Lease arranged that. If you don't know, Maya Lease has published a book called She Leads. I got a copy of it on my Kindle. I'm reading through it. It's just a fantastic book. There it is. You know, it was one of the things that I'm impressed by with the administrative team is they're doing great work and they're really proud of it. So imagine this, picture this. We're at this dinner, which Doug Reeves paid for. That was really awesome, I thought. And Miley's has got her laptop out on the table, and she's going to show these guys, Doug Reeves and Bob Eaker, she's going to show them our 100-day plan. You know, you can't hold these people down. They're so proud, and I really like seeing that. And I got a taste of that through the whole 3 days by talking with Dr. Barrett and Maya Lise Toland, and a little bit with Dr. Tucker, a lot of conversation with Dr. Gray. I really appreciated that. And I'm looking forward to continuing developing our relationship. I just want to stress that it was a real privilege to be there, a real privilege to see our people going to the best presenters in education in the country. And these people are not just, you know, nationally known, they are globally known. From my experience in teaching in Australia, those people at the top there that I know, they know these people. These people go to Australia and present kind of the leading edge stuff there, and we're doing it. And it's, you know, it's really satisfying to see. And you know, it's another area where I feel really proud to be connected to Lincoln County School District. So well done, all of you. And I know that this is a continuing thing, a continuing effort, and that's how we're going to move forward. And I was very pleased to see it and be a part of it. So
Proud.
that's it for me.
Anyway, Mike, you want to?
You want me to follow that? I don't have anything.
That's a tough act to follow.
I'm sorry. I kind of wish I'd gone to that, but you know, I'm glad that you got a chance to do it, Peter, and thanks for sharing.
Awesome. All right, Cecilia.
High achievers just exhaust the heck out of me. It happened when Peter was talking.
What exhausted you?
High achievers. You know, all these people with, you know, things that.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, I don't know if I'd call him a high achiever, but
I went
okay.
to kindergarten. I went to kindergarten, and I'm going down Wednesday mornings and just sit in the hallway and pull kids out and read with them, and then go to preschool across the hall and play the ukulele. So we have a little choir going. And then I go to the music class. He invited me to come and bring the ukulele and help the fourth graders with their ukulele class. So I'm hoping to do that every Wednesday, and just check in with the high school every once in a while in the help room. And then I had a visit with their Aspire program staff last week. So it's good.
Wonderful.
That makes your heart full, I'm sure.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I had the privilege of going to Sam Case Elementary, and Marty and his staff were so gracious and showed me around, and that is my favorite place. I love Sam Case, and Marty,
I do too.
you made it very welcoming and really showcased all the wonderful things that are going on. And I was so impressed in every classroom that I went into how engaged the kids were. It was awesome. I mean, I want to come back, and I want to stay in the classroom and get down on the floor and be a kid. again, because there's fun learning that's going on, and the whole school just had a warm feeling about it. And thank you, Marty. I appreciate everything that you're doing there at Sam Case. It's amazing. So I just love it. I asked at the high school just for some updates of what's going on, and I've got 3 pages because it's high school and it's this.
Oh, she froze.
Oh,
You froze, Liz.
oh, come on, technology.
Frozen. Oh, I'm living out here in the Hinderwood, I guess.
She's in the hinterlands.
But yeah, talking to Shelley Moore. Am I there?
Yes.
Who's the athletic director at Newport High. She has got some innovative things going on, and it's exciting. I love seeing an AD go in this direction. A captain's council, bi-monthly meetings with all varsity captains to educate, include, and fellowships. All the captains of the team. They're doing a weekly coach spotlight on social media, weekly athletes of the week, weekly supportive gratitude message, which I've seen on Facebook. It's amazing. They have a student blue crew section. So they have shirts made. They're all at home games, so they're all rooting and connected to the PBIS expectations. An Iron Paw program, all athletes that have participated in 3 seasons of athletes for 4 years earn this honor and will earn a cord at graduation. That is huge acknowledgement, and the time and energy and effort that would go into that. They're having a youth night February 18th. The 3rd grade class will sing the national anthem. All K through 6 athletes will come to the home basketball game for free with their uniform on. I mean, what a fun way to get all of our students involved in the fun of the athletic. Hearing from Raina, the student council is planning their NHS, Mr. NHS fundraising event. It'll be happening in March. They had a wonderful career exploration month with multiple speakers, and the freshman success team is working hard. So it's like I said, I could go on and on. They have a lot going on, and I appreciate their report and all that they do. So thank you for everybody's on the board. It's fun to get out in our schools, and I wish I'll be coming to a school near you soon. That's on my list of to-dos. So, all right, we're moving ahead to the superintendent's report. Dr. Karen Gray, I'll let you take that over.
All right, thank you so much, Chair Martin. I'll have 2 items I'll report on. However, I do want to recognize someone in the audience. Jason Hay, who's the assistant superintendent for Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD, is in the audience. He will be speaking later on about the local service plan. He is a true partner and gentleman. He's wonderful to work with, just fantastic educator. So thank you so much, Jason Hay, for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gray.
You bet. So the big news is around the Oregon Health Authority's announcement yesterday. And I'd like to actually read this because I don't want you to be confused at all with what they are saying. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what the Oregon Health Department is saying. Oregon Health Authority will lift the mask rule. That is Rule 333-019-1015 in schools on March 31st. So that's not a may or a maybe, that's what's happening. This date is established to provide certainty and planning for schools. The March 31st date to lift the school mask rule occurs after the majority of schools are coming back from spring break. And our spring break is Monday, March 28th, we will be back in school. So 4 days before that. The decision to remove, have the opportunity to remove universal masking is left up to local school districts. That would be in collaboration with the local public health authority, who Susan Van Loo, our queen of COVID, assistant superintendent, has kept an excellent relationship. She is our closest relationship to the LPHA. And frankly, they have authority over us. If they chose to keep the universal mask mandate for some reason, we would be under their authority. So we would like to have conversations with a great deal of group of people, not just with the local associations, but we have lots of conversations to have, just as we have with all of the decisions that we have made. I will remind the board and the community that over the last 24 months, we have been tasked to make many decisions. And in every case, we have made the right decision. We have kept kids safe, we have kept staff safe, and we have kept our buildings open as much as possible. So we're going to continue to look at hospitalization rates. We're going to continue to look at the rates of COVID, which is the Omicron variant, which is down, clearly down by 40%, and is still here in the community. So we are going to want to make safety our #1 issue. There are certain mitigations that go away if we decide to make masks optional, and we have to weigh out every single issue. No decision has been made. No, we are nowhere near a decision to be made. I think that we are going to aim at making a decision by Monday, March 14th. We will have another board meeting, a business meeting on March 8th, at which time this subject will come back up again. That will give us enough time to have a conversation, watch the numbers, and make the best decision for all Lincoln County School District. And we will be communicating widely, just as we have been. Our communication has been stellar. If we decide by Monday, March 14th, that gives us 2 weeks to communicate, and then our kids will come back from break on March 28th. So that's about all I have to say about that. I did send the board the actual memo that came out yesterday, and email message to all personnel, the board, and the local public health authority. So y'all got the same message. Does the board have any questions at this time, either for me or for Susan Van Loo?
So we're gonna, Centilla here. So we're gonna mask the kids for 2 days before the mandate when we come back?
We have no choice. The mandate begins for schools on March 31st and no sooner.
Okay.
The community is a different matter, as I stated in my letter. The Oregon Health Authority for indoor masking requirements, if they see the numbers going down earlier, they can make that choice for the general public.
Yes.
And I underline that.
Yes.
For schools, it is no sooner than March 31st.
Okay.
And again, I don't want to say that any decision has been made, because none has been made. We need to watch this for a little bit, and we're not out of the woods. We have a lot of Omicron in Lincoln County. So good question though. What else, you guys? Any other questions that you have for me or for Susan?
So just a clarification,
Sure.
if Lincoln County Public Health says, no, it's still too dangerous, and they're the ones that are going to set the rule that we're going to abide by, is that right?
Susan, why don't you take that question?
Yeah, Peter, that's my understanding, the way it is written in all of the regulations, and actually has been in any regulation that's come out. It has said in conjunction with local public health, and that they actually have the final authority.
They have always had the final authority.
Yeah.
But we're in collaboration with them. As I stated, Florence Portal has been a good friend to the district, and she's been very open with us. It's no secret that local public health here has been very conservative. And it's different in every county, but ours happens to be very conservative. And I think that their point of view has been one that we have received. So, you know, make no mistake about it, it is, you know, the decision of the superintendent in the final analysis, along with staff, with collaboration with the school board, what the decision is for Lincoln County School District. There isn't any one group that's in charge of this other than the leadership of the school district. And we'll be taking lots of communication, lots of conversation, but in the final analysis, it has always been the superintendent, her executive team, and the school board. So moving on, I do want to talk about House Bill 4026. I am an originator and definitely an advocate with the state of Oregon and COSA on House Bill 4026, which is the wildfire bill. Today it passed 7-0, and it is now moving to the Ways and Means Committee. That is about $700,000 a year for 5 years for Lincoln County School District. And they would pay that in one lump sum. The other districts are Santiam Canyon, Phoenix Talent, and Mackenzie. And those three superintendents and I have made up the people giving testimony to the legislature on the need to fund ADM 94 kids that we have lost due to the wildfire of September a year ago. That bill was supposed to be voted on last June. It was virtually ignored. And then COSA through Morgan Allen brought it back up. And it looks like it's going to pass both sides of the House and onto Ways and Means. A 7-0 unanimous vote is very good for us. It's very good news for Lincoln County School.
Awesome.
We need it.
We need it.
Yeah.
Moving on, the first review of the 2022-23 school calendar is on page 13 of your board packet. We like to have conversation with our associations about our proposed calendar. This calendar is going to follow very closely with other calendars in the area, although I'm told by the leadership of OCCC that actually their calendar is actually going to be slightly different than ours for spring break of 2023. I'm not sure why that decision, but it doesn't matter. They have a right to make their own decision. But this is a first blush. It's going to follow very similarly to the way we always do it. We always start after Labor Day. We always have our winter break a certain way. Spring break is always the third week in March. And we always have to make sure that our number of days worked matches. And so Tiana Tucker does the yeoman's work on this. Hats off to her for her work. And this is a first draft for you.
So we'll be reviewing this.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple more times then. Okay.
Yes. And if you have questions, I ask the board to email me directly so that I can get you the answer, and I will get you the answer to the entire board.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Third up is the Lincoln County School District 2021-22 Board Superintendent Goals and Measures. I am not going to go through and read everything. It is very lengthy. It's pages 14 through 22. But this is the first blush data. We gave this to you in advance to look at from the beginning of the year to the middle of the year, so that this is called formative assessment. This is of all of our board goals that you, school board, developed in August and approved in the fall. I wanted to know if you have any questions after looking at this data remember that we are coming back after roughly 18 months at home and working hard we have not forgotten our goals and objectives, and we have kept our stuff moving. We haven't stopped for 1 minute because our children cannot afford for us to take a pause here. We need to keep on moving. So some of the data is not as good as I would like to see it, frankly, and some of it is beyond my expectation. But from looking at this data, we'll entertain questions from the board.
Okay.
Anyone on the board have any questions at this time?
I haven't looked over it completely.
Yeah, staff is available on this meeting to answer your questions.
Okay.
You are welcome to look through this data for the next month if you like, because I know that it takes time to look through this volume of data. And we can bring this back to the board next month. You'll see another huge report in June, but we are happy to entertain another meeting to review this data again on March 8th if you would like.
How does the board feel about that?
That's fine. I would like to see new numbers, you know.
Well, you're not going to get new numbers March
Yeah.
8th. Same numbers.
No, I'm talking about, yeah, later down the road. I'm hoping it improves.
My feeling is, Karen, that again, it's just it's hard. These first numbers to me aren't
To look
the
at.
true reflection. I think I can wait till the next set of numbers that come out personally.
Yeah. that's the
One
same
thing
with
I'd
that.
point out is you look at the attendance data, we ended, for example, O Lake at 35%. Of course, the board goal is much higher, but year to date through February, it's at 48. It's low, but it's higher. So
Mhm.
I'm going to look at the things that we are doing right in that the numbers in several of the reports. I've looked at the data on elementary reading. I see that Kelly has kind of perked up. And Kelly, would you like to speak a little bit regarding this data?
Sure, I can just give a, kind of my take on the attendance, as you were saying.
Thank you.
The goal was set to, get us back to where we were pre-pandemic. And so while we aren't quite there yet, we are growing in the right direction back there. And I think we're probably going to see a real proportionate rate of growth back to those pre-pandemic attendance rates where we can grow from there in proportion to how quickly the pandemic fades. Because while we're still in pandemic and, there's still kids out on quarantine and things like that, we're going to continue to struggle with getting back to before this whole thing happened. But we're definitely headed the right direction. I think all of our schools are headed the right direction. You heard Principal Postlewaite talking about the emphasis that they put on positive messaging around attendance and really like being very targeted and intentional about talking with students and families about how to stay engaged even when you're out on quarantine. So, we've learned a lot of lessons and we're continuing to try and engage with our students and families. And I think that the line's headed in the right direction with attendance, but yeah, it's not where we want it to be yet. So it's a continued goal because we're going to keep working on that one. And then I can also speak to any of the PBIS data either now or next month that has to do with the implementation of our tiered systems of support, particularly around social emotional universal screener that we now have in place. That gives us an additional piece of data that our teams can now use to screen and identify students that are in need of behavioral supports. And at the same time, we're building our tier 2 systems of behavioral supports. So our goal this year is to implement those systems and then expand our capacity. So you might see some schools, with a very low percentage of students right now with students actually in tier 2 supports, but that's because their action planning this entire first semester of the year has been around planning. As again, Principal Postlewaite talked about all the great work that Jana Limbert has done in planning and training staff and getting ready to launch a very key tier 2 intervention, which is check in, check out. And our counselors are doing the same thing with social emotional small groups. So now that they've been doing a lot of planning and putting together really precise data decision rules, now they're in implementation phase, and we're going to start to see those numbers rise in terms of how many students are being served by this important layer of tier 2 intervention. So we're making growth. It's all heading in the right direction.
I think I would like to thank you so much, Kelly. And Kelly is our district expert in these two areas. If the board would want to think about having a separate work session on any one of these goals, where you want to go a little deeper into what the staff is actually doing with this and how the kids are responding, I would really ask you to email me and just say, you know, I'm really interested, or you guys have a conversation about it, not on email, please. But, you know, if there is a portion of this where you think, I really don't get this. What is this? These PBIS tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 numbers? What the heck is this? Like Peter got a lot of this at the PLC meeting. I mean, it was huge on RTI at work. Please let me know, because that's what a work session is for. And we can really dig into some of this in a more casual atmosphere than a business meeting. In a business meeting, we have business to conduct. But if you guys want anything more, please let me know. And that's my job. I'm your staff. And I will get my staff together to do some training. It's difficult to understand off the bat, especially for you new board members. You can't know this off the get-go.
After I was looking at the numbers, and you're starting to feel like, oh my goodness. But then you had to consider what's going on right now. This is amazing.
Yes.
You go into the classroom and you watch the teachers working hard, and we can't judge what's going on with this number.
No.
Then they invited me to the 6th grades. They had a little assembly to acknowledge, to give out the attendance awards. The student was so excited to be there, and they do it every often. So the student, you see the engagement there. So then, yes, the number measure the success of the goal we set a few years ago, but we really need to think about the time that we have with this. During this time, we need to be, this is success to me. The students are coming and the staff are coming, and we need.
Thank you for mentioning that. What a great perspective, Santila. I so appreciate you saying that, because it really speaks to how hard the teachers are working and how hard the administrators are working together. They do work together a lot. And how much the kids are appreciating, frankly, just being in school. We have had a great deal of pretty disturbing student behavior, just to be honest. I mean,
and I like to see them misbehave in school than thinking at home, So we need to embrace this time and appreciate and show appreciation for each other, what we're doing.
100%, no doubts. Are there any other areas? Again, I don't feel to go over 8 pages of a report, but we're going to get into graduation rates later on in the presentation. So I'd like to save that for later.
Okay. I think we're okay to move on.
Okay, very good. Jason, you're on for the local service plan. You'll find this on page 23 in your packet.
Okay, Dr. Gray, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board for inviting me tonight to just say a few words about the local service plan that you see in your packet. Before I continue, though, I just, on behalf of our superintendent, Tanya Everest, and the 7-person board that we work with, I just really want to thank all of you for your work and the collaboration that we have in partnership to serve the kids in our 3-county area. And, I can just hear in all these different board meetings that I've gone to, and I'm hearing it here tonight. There's unprecedented challenging work that's been going on for the last 2 years. And I just, my hat's off to everyone that has been working so hard for our children. So thank you. What you'll see in the local service plan is that, and this really is true to the title, it's our plan for what services we provide to our component districts, our 12 component districts here in our 3-county area for this 2-year period. And you can see throughout the document, basic information as well as information about all the different services that we provide. It's a heady document. There's a lot of information in here. But I do want to just orient you to one page in particular that I think might be of interest to you, is page 60 of the document. So I'm not sure what corresponding page that would be. I think you said it started on page 23, Dr. Gray.
Yes, it does. Mhm.
So if you
What's
flip,
the title of the page?
it basically has, it's a data page.
Okay.
Later in the document, it's towards the end of the document. The
Okay.
last page in the document is page 68.
I think it's 81.
Page
Perfect.
81. Yeah,
Thank you so
Peter.
much. I appreciate that. And I should be able to just do math and tell you, but here I am blathering away and
It's late.
not doing that. Yeah. So this is just kind of an interesting page that I think that a lot of boards like to see this information, and it's our data for various services that were done for Lincoln County. And you can see in here, for example, I'll just say, point to one thing, the audiology evaluations, that there were 28 audiology evaluations in that 2021 school year for the entire ESD, and 2 of them were done for Lincoln County School District. And so it just gives you a snapshot of a number of the direct type of services that we provide in terms of special education, evaluation, ECSE, the high incident or the low incidence, high needs, Cascade Regional Services, and that sort of thing. So I know you have a long agenda, so I'm going to stop talking. If there's any questions that you have, I would be happy to answer those or get information back to you offline at some point.
Jason, just a comment on this page 81 that you pointed out. I thank you, because to be honest, on my years of hanging out here on the board, I've never seen the numbers presented like this, and it's really informative, and it really gives me a handle on how much we do use your services, and I'm very appreciative of it and the way that you work together with our district. It's a good collaboration, and so again, this is great to look at. I'm going to spend some more time reading through it.
Excellent.
Appreciate you being part of the meeting tonight.
Thank you so much, Chair Martin. I appreciate that. And, as someone who has spent, I've really been at the ESD for only 2 years. I've spent my entire 25-year career up to this point serving school districts. And so learning, the whole ESD world and all of that has been a challenge at times. And one thing that I've noticed, and certainly our superintendent thinks about this as well as someone else who has spent most of her career in a school district, that a lot of people don't know what we do. And so this document, really, we wanted to be able to highlight what we do and the kind of work that's done by the ESD, so that you know what you're getting. So thank you for that acknowledgement.
Yep. This menu of services is decided by the superintendents exclusively. We have other collaboration with our partners and with our colleagues and with our staff, but the truth of the matter is it's finally decided by superintendents in a room.
Yep, absolutely.
And this has been the most collaborative ESD I have ever worked with. And I've worked with South Coast ESD, and I've worked with Multnomah ESD as a superintendent. And Tanya Everest and Jason Hay listen to the superintendents. They don't have an agenda. It is freaky. It really works out amazing. And so the tier 1 services we all pay into. And then the grants are special stuff that we do separate. And I'm telling you, it is amazing to be partnered with an ESD that is this collaborative.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank
I
you.
will, if it's okay, continue to hang out as your meeting proceeds.
Oh, great. We're a lot of fun. I think you'll like it.
Absolutely. I can tell you're a lot of fun, you know. And
Isn't
there's a
it more
lot of
fun in
extra
person?
people here too that are watching the show. So
It must be the
And that's
place
what
to
it
be.
is.
It's a place to be tonight. Yep.
absolutely.
It's the place to be.
There's a lot more people than come to an ESD board meeting. I can
Yeah,
tell you
well,
that.
we're a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Thank you.
Party time. Stakeholders gathering of leadership on April 28th from 5 to 7 at the Hallmark. In March and April, we will be meeting to determine the agenda for our annual gathering of leadership. That is a board goal. It is part of your strategic plan. And this time we'll be able to be in person and do what we wanted to do last year, which ended up online. So those of you that are new to the board, Mike, Peter, and Santila, this is to be the first time you participate in this, but we bring together all the movers and shakers in the county, and we have a meeting about how we can have mutually beneficial relationships. So I'm excited about that. Mark your calendar, April 28th. That's a Thursday night from 5 to 7. More information on that to come.
And will we be talking about that at our work session? Is that correct?
We will, we'll be talking about it at our work session, February 22nd.
Correct.
And probably a little bit at our board meeting, March 8th. And
Okay.
then at our work session, nope, it'll probably be, yep, some other time.
Okay. Well,
But definitely February 22nd when we are talking about our strategic plan.
so we will have input. I just want everyone to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And Eddie will send us something, I presume, so.
Eddie will send you, but I'm telling you
You know I
tonight,
love it.
save
Yes,
the
we
date,
do.
save the date, because our save the date will be going out to our partners very soon. So February 22nd, when we meet in work session, we have to look over last year's invitation list and try to make sure if we've got the right people invited.
When
So,
you say
Eddie,
all these
make sure we collect
movers, well, whatever, we'll talk about it on the 22nd.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay,
I also want to do what Peter Vinci did, and I do want to point out that Maya-Lise Tolan and her friend Rachel George wrote a book. You can't see it because I'm blurred, but it's called She Leads: The Woman's Guide to a Career in Educational Leadership. It is a coup to have a staff member write a book that's published that already has become a #1 bestseller in our field. I can also point out that Dr. Tiana Tucker has a chapter in a well-known published book this year that she wrote, which is excellent. And I just want to shout out to people who are doing some of these marvelous things that they're just worth celebrating. And it's kind of amazing when you can sit at a dinner and be telling the guy who wrote the book on 100-day leadership, the two guys, Reeves and Aker, older gentlemen who wrote the book called 100-day leadership, as we're sharing our 100-day leadership plan, and got invited to Boston to participate in some work that Doug Reeves is doing. So it's kind of funny, but it's really awesome and lots of fun. And then finally on page 91, not for a vote, but just for guidelines, we wanted to remind the board from our last work session on budget, which was in January, about sample board budget goals. Again, just a reminder to the board and community that some of the suggested board goals for this year's budgeting were a full school year with no cut school days and full staffing, 6th grade music in all schools, meaning not just music, but band and choir, maintaining our investments in curriculum, technology, facilities, and future properties, considering the effects of union bargaining in the spring with our classified group. First time we're bargaining with them in 5 years. And general education commitments that must be sustainable with the school, state school fund. So with we also had a couple of other items like the Indigenous Peoples study that we want to do with the Bill Barton money from selling our property. We have another meeting with Bill Barton next week to request further funding for Indigenous Peoples studies. And I can't remember if there was anything else, Kim. But this was the culminating piece of our work session. Again, this doesn't require a vote, but these are the guidelines that the board looked at when it was talking about budget for next year. I think in addition to that, we need to look at our average daily membership, which is down 2 years in a row due to COVID, and whether or not we can sustain our staffing levels. So that is up for more conversation as we talk more about budgeting.
So Karen, when will we be talking about this again?
We will be talking about budget probably at every work session from now until May.
But these goals, is that something okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I just want to make sure it's on the agenda.
It's on the table and it's on the agenda. Eddie will make a note of that. This is the board's work. And so we'll continue to have this in front of you at every turn.
Okay. All right, continuing the conversation. Awesome.
Yes, Chair Martin, that's what we will be doing.
Okay. All right.
That's it for me.
Any of the board members have any questions, comments for Dr. Gray? Thank you for informative report as always.
Thank you.
Now we'll move along to the adoption of the consent calendar you have in your packet. Minutes of the board, regular human resources, and final readings of an adoption of policy. Anyone have any questions?
Just as a reminder, school board, the IFA is educational research and how we want to deal with outside organizations that would like to do some research within Lincoln County School District. And KGBB is the not allowing of concealed firearms on our campuses.
All right, thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar items as listed in the February 8th, 2022 board folder. Do I have such a motion?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
I have a quick question first.
Okay.
I sent some typo adjustments to the minutes. Can we add those to, do we need to say that?
So after the correction of the minutes, that will be the signed version that gets submitted into the record. So thank you for sending those to me, one, and thank you for pointing it out in the motion.
Thank you. So we'll note the minutes as corrected.
Thank you.
So, all right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Thank you so much. Under action items, right now we'll be hearing from Kim Cusick about the budget calendar, and Declaration of Budget Committee vacancies.
Okay, so on your screen, you should be able to see the updated budget calendar. As we discussed in the work session in January, we did need to move some of these items forward from what you had approved prior. Many of these, the items that are really more or less set, not, I was going to say set in stone, not necessarily, but those items that are pretty well set are these at the bottom for May and June, the budget committee meetings and the budget hearing. None of those things have changed. What we did change is that the budget allocations that are distributed to our administrators on the staffing sheets, we moved that forward to February. And part of that, the change in these things is due to the passing of our payroll clerk, and I've been helping out in that department. And then we had some other shifts from my office to HR to fill that payroll position. And so we have been a little short-staffed, so we're playing catch up. And also the other part of that is just we have not had the budget discussions necessary to actually create those allocations. So we'll present those to the principals at the end of February. And then there's two SIA items on here on 3.8 and 4.12. We're going to combine those. Actually, I just heard today from the state that there is no board approval required this year for our plan because our original plan, which encompassed this year as well, was approved by the board when the plan first came out, and you've also approved the grant agreement with the state. The only thing that's required by the board or from the board this year is a presentation and approval of the financial audit and the annual report. And we did that for last year, and we'll be doing that again for the next year.
Good.
So all that's required as far as the plan, the budget plan this year would be a presentation to the board. We'll obviously keep you updated on our plans for that. And we do also intend to update you on the use of our ESSER funds, likely at the April meeting. And then the other item is that the board needs to announce the budget committee vacancies for zones 2 and 4. And that is also our next item on the agenda. And then, so let me see, let me change to that screen.
And these have to be done under 2 separate voting.
Yes. So I can wait for that. If you'd like to.
It's okay. Just go ahead and talk about it. We'll do it with separate, but they are separate motions.
Yes. So the budget committee consists of the 5 school board members and 5 board appointed citizens from each of the 5 board zones. The committee members serve terms of 3 years in length, which are staggered to allow continuity on the committee. Members typically only serve for the month of May and will receive training in April of each year. So while it's generally a 3-year term, it's really only a month a year. There are 2 vacancies currently on the budget committee, zone 2, which expires 6/30/22 because Terry Bugenhagen, who was in that position, moved out of the zone and is no longer eligible to serve. So that's the remainder of his term. And then zone 4 has been vacant for some time. That position will expire 6/30/23. Zone 2 covers voting precincts 14 through 19, which is Agate Beach through Schooner Creek. And zone 4 covers the east area of the county, Eddyville, Siletz, Toledo, up through the Fruitvale precinct. And we noted that the full zone map is available from the county clerk's office for anybody that's interested. Our applications will be available on the Lincoln County School District website and at the district office here, Northeast Fogarty Street. Applicants have to be a registered voter, may not be employees of Lincoln County School District, and must live in the zone to which they're applying for the duration of their term. With this updated calendar, we will have the applications due to the board March 1st. That gives you a week to review the applications prior to the March 8th regular board meeting, where you will interview and appoint the new budget committee members. And that also allows an additional month should we not have any applicants, for instance, for zone 4, that's been hard to get applications for. That gives us an additional month before the budget committee actually meets in order to try to get some more applications.
No pressure, Peter, but the vacancy is in your area and also in my area. And it's been kind of a past practice that if it's in your area, you're the one that's out recruiting. So you and I need to get busy. Just saying, okay?
I understand. I know what I got to do, but I have a question for you. If someone is subbing in the district, are they considered an employee of Lincoln County School District, or are they
Yes.
subcontract? They are.
Well, so if they're working for ESS,
Yeah.
I would still say, even if they are working for a contractor, they are employed as a contract worker, so they would be ineligible.
There's too much of a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
It's too close.
Okay, I got you. Fair enough.
And any other questions for Kim?
No.
Okay, being that there aren't any at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the updated budget calendar as published in the February 8th, 2022 board folder. Do I have such a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mike. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving ahead, we will now entertain a motion to declare zones 2 and 4 vacant on the budget committee.
I'll make such a motion.
A motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion passes. Okay. Should I go ahead and, I'll go ahead with this motion here because this will take care of the action items that we have listed for tonight. Will be, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt the Lynn Benton Lincoln Educational Service District Service Plan presented in the superintendent's report and is published in the February 8th, 2022 board folder.
I move that we accept the Lynn Benton Lincoln Educational Service District Plan, Service Plan as outlined in the board folder.
Thank you, Peter. Is there a second? Thank you, Mike. There's a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you so much. We have under items of discussion and information, we're going to hear from Director Mylese Tolan on graduation rates. Sorry we missed the book signing up at Bob's Books. Boy, I bet that was fun.
It was.
Congratulations. That's pretty dang cool.
Thanks, Liz.
I'm going to get my autograph soon.
All right. So if you want to just take a look at page, I think it's 115 in your board packet. It really is just a continuation of the email that we sent out around where we were at with our report card. Just a couple of things that we want to be able to highlight. And then if you have any questions, I probably will take your questions back to ODE to work on answering them if I can't, because they might be around where the discrepancy in our data came in. But if you take a look at the report card, kind of the main thing that happened is we had to go in and we had to make an adjustment after the fact. Our report that was published, if you go to the Oregon Department of Education website, you'll see graduation rates in the 50% range of our students, which we knew was not an accurate number. We believe what happened is when we did a transfer over of data between our systems, that there was just miscalculation on that. We were able to identify those students, and we've already worked with the Department of Ed to make those changes. So we worked with the ESD and we worked with the Department of Ed. It was really important that we got that corrected right away, even though you don't see it in a printed report card at the state level, nor will you ever see it for this year. Graduation rates impact you for 3 years, that they continue to look at those numbers. And so if we didn't get it corrected right now, we'd be impacted by this 50% number at some of our schools for 2 more years, as well as next year it would start to impact our 5-year cohort graduation rate. So the state opened that data portal back up for us so that we were able to, Sherry Fitch and Vince Dye worked very closely with the ESD and the state. They were able to update those numbers. So when they get run again, when they continue to look at it, we will be looking at this adjusted rate that Vince ran for you, where we're at 75%, 81%, and you can see those numbers. So we'll really want to look at next year's 5-year cohort rate to see what that number looks like, because that'll be a truer number for us. And then we were able to, like I said, identify the issue, and we are going to be implementing a second round of checks and balances, working directly with the principals and the registrars in a face-to-face format to make sure that we're cross-checking our list specifically. We're also looking at getting a better understanding on projected numbers of that 4-year cohort. And so to do that, we're really going to have to start monitoring our students on an annual basis of the move in and move out. And they do, our registrars do a great job of that, but we don't always check it at our level with our database at the end of every school year. So we've been doing it with seniors, but now we'll start checking it at the end of every school year to see, because if a student moves and we don't find them, that's directly impacting that rate. And so those are the numbers that we'll continue to look at. Another thing to keep in mind is we have students in a 4-year rate that move into us. Say they move to Lincoln County School District their junior year, and they are sitting at 15 credits already deficient. Those become our deficient numbers. They become our 4-year cohort rate. Just like if we send a student out who's 15, 16 credits deficient, that becomes the receiving school in Oregon's 4-year cohort rate. So it's really, really important that we're looking at our 9th grade on track numbers very closely, that we're carrying those students into our sophomore on track numbers, which is what we're doing now, so that regardless of if they come into us or if we send them out, we want them to be Oregon diploma earners. And so just monitoring that and seeing where we end with that.
So these numbers that we're seeing right now are not the adjusted numbers, correct?
These are, Liz, the light blue column on page 115, that top adjusted rate number, those are the adjusted numbers. And so when you're looking at Newport High, which still seems low when we look at it, we also do have to take into account, and Dr. Barrett and I have been talking about this, that if we have students who are coming in and they're English language learners, they might also be coming in where there is a credit deficiency in there. And so they still have time to graduate, and we want them to graduate from high school. So we're really monitoring that on where they're coming in and what credits they're at. And the same thing can happen in some different special education situations where they might not be earning a modified diploma, they might be earning a completer certificate, then that could also impact that score. So we're going to continue to really watch that. Raina, Vince, and I have already met, and then there was a follow-up discussion with the state so that we can be monitoring that and tracking that more closely.
Awesome. I think it's really great that you pointed out how much how many things this graduation data impacts.
Yeah.
You know, and for a long time.
That's
So the fact that you're going back through and finding out where the gaps or, you know, whatever is awesome. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Vince and Sherry worked really hard on that, because it was one thing to find them, but we needed to really find out why it happened, so that if it's a systems glitch, we don't have those kinds of things happen again. And just so that you know, we're already seeing that with the transcript. So we don't have, I can't really tell you at this exact moment our freshman on track number or even our senior number, because just as we move to a brand new system, we have to really student by student watch that transcript the first year of that crossover so that we don't have any gaps. And we have been finding some, which is good, right? Findings are good because then you can correct them. So they're finding those right now and just going through item by item to make sure that we don't have any students fall through the cracks on that in this first year of transition over. And then once we've done it that first year, then we're in a spot where our codes are all caught up and we're ready to go. So they're going through all of those right now.
Okay, great. All right. Anyone have any questions for Miley's?
Yeah, I think it's just a comment. Yesterday, because you all know I work with literacy, I met 3 students who dropped out of high school a few years ago. So what is with them to get the GED? And it's when you see these numbers, it's different when you start looking at their faces and hearing their story of why they drop out of school and the struggling they have now.
Yep.
So just a reminder that our staying connected to the community to see how important it is that we make sure that everyone have their education is it's important, because the numbers is different than when you start looking at the faces and looking at their whole life.
Yeah.
In their lives for we're part of that progress.
Yeah.
So make it even more important that we work together to make sure they have their education.
Our
Yeah.
dropout numbers are incredibly low, to be honest, but I'm hearing what you are saying. Even though these are numbers that are way lower than my previous school district. I'd have really been happy. You're never happy to see dropout numbers. You want to see a big fat 0.
Yeah.
But the numbers here are very low, but it is an individual case. It is an
3 of them in
individual
one
student.
day was a little bit much for me.
Exactly, Santila. I think it's a great, I love how you continue to bring in the human side to all of this, that there are people attached to all of this. Our district actually I'm proud to say that we work so hard to keep kids engaged. Where I'm not really excited is in looking at some of our charter numbers. And so, it's our job to make sure that we are working with them as well. And so I'm definitely going to be kind of taking a better look at some of this. Our 4-year rate for Newport High School makes no sense to me. And it's not going to make sense to me. And I don't think it's real. I just don't think it's real. The other numbers make so much more sense to me. And the 5-year rates are excellent. But Miley's has done everything but stand on her head with a lampshade on her feet to try to figure out a way to get that number to be real. And we just can't find what is going on with that number.
It is such a decrease from where they've always
Doesn't
been
make sense.
and held. Yeah.
Right.
It doesn't match up at all with anything that we're doing, but we just thought it was important for Miley's to give you a little bit more explanation. Next year, there is no way we will not be going through our numbers at exactly when we need to go through our numbers, because it's now in my calendar.
I know.
We'll be doing that.
Okay, right. Thank you, Miley's.
Thank you, Miley's.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate your work. We've had a long meeting. I'm just going to follow up with some housekeeping here. Thank you to the head housekeeper, Eddie. Which I got to have lunch with Eddie on Monday, and we decided we had way too much fun, and we'll do it again.
Do it again.
We did.
Invite us next time.
Great fun.
You want to go?
Just a reminder, February 22nd, we'll have a work session at 5 o'clock to review the strategic plan, and we'll do a board book demo. I'm not sure if that's a Zoom in person. Do we know yet, Karen?
Well, yeah. I don't know. We did have a small group of secondary principals in person today in a big room. We had a small group of elementary principals in a big room. I would prefer to meet in person if there's any way. I'm kind of done with this Zooming stuff at this point, but I defer to the board. By then, will the surge be down far enough? Peter and I were in a room with 2,000 people. So, but we had our masks on and we were faithful. So what does the board want to do? I'll do what you
Want to
want.
get together.
Me too. And seeing that we're going to be doing a board book demo, I think in person would be so much more
We can always change,
effective.
we can always change if it doesn't. If
We
things-
can.
Well, if it's still a problem, I mean, I have small groups that we meet in my church council and whatnot, and we try to keep it as low as possible. And, you know, we make sure we wear our masks, we've all been vaccinated and triple vaccinated the whole 9 yards. It still doesn't mean that we're safe, but if we're very careful, we should be okay.
I
And
think
I
if
would
we need
say
a big
the
room.
idea of large groups coming in with us is not a good idea.
No.
Peter, are you okay with meeting in person?
Listen, I'm okay with it, but I would just like to put out there, if there is someone on the board who is uncomfortable with it, that person's preference should maybe lead.
I agree.
Definitely.
Our circumstance, you know.
Definitely.
It's so much better to meet in person. And I'm comfortable with that. We'll be socially distanced. We'll have our masks. We'll have our Purell handy.
And we'll have dinner. And Eddie will provide us dinner.
Oh, yes.
Your wish is my pleasure.
That's it.
I want beef stroganoff, Eddie.
I'll help.
Noted.
I'll help you, Eddie. Anyway, unless I hear anything different from any of the board members, we will be in person on this meeting.
Absolutely.
And at that time, we can talk about the March 8th board meeting, okay? If
I
that's all
will
right
let
with
you
everyone.
know that the board book demo is an online demo. So the presenter of that will be on a meeting. I want it noted I didn't say anything, but I'm super glad that you are pushing to have this in person, because it would be very difficult to share their online presentation through our online meeting format. So again,
Okay.
we will absolutely figure it out if that's the decision that we need to make. So please don't let that cloud your decision, but I'm thankful to hear that.
If nothing else, Eddie, we're here to please you.
Oh, yeah? I
Yeah.
want to hear
Hey.
that kind of love. I need some love too, Mike.
Um,
He is.
March
What am I,
8th.
what am I, chopped liver here?
Yes.
No. March 8th, we'll have a regular business meeting at Walport Middle High
Yes.
at the 6:30 time, unless you hear differently. And then the third thing to notice, that OSBA is planning a spring listening session. It's at the Greater Albany District Office on March 2nd. And if you'd like to attend, need to let Karen or Eddie know.
We are going to ask if there is an online option. We are the furthest away from that office.
Yeah. And
That is a very long way to go.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
And for their dinner, I think we could stay home. So I think, but if they're able, Eddie will find out if that meeting is available online.
So far, my research has shown that it is not available online. However, I could have missed something, one, and two, if somebody wants to go to that listening session, but only would like to attend if it's online, then I will, deliberately reach out and ask that, possibly be set up for us. So please communicate with me if that's something you want to do, and I will make sure that you get the survey link ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's
the
also in your
ESD
packet, but
The ESD superintendent just moved our regular Visa meeting to all online. So I'm thinking they're the host. They're going to be open to us wanting to have an online option. They have a very easy online option. So I just want us to stay open to that. And if we need to contact Tanya Everest, we can do that.
Okay, great.
And we can discuss a little bit more at our work session later in the month about that, or do we have to make a reservation
I think
No.
that they ask, of course, to have that information as soon as possible. And if I had to guess, it's probably mainly for the dinner. So, you know, if someone's really interested, just make sure you let me know if you are and if it's for an online option as soon as possible, but I'm sure we could discuss it a bit at the work session.
So I see Jason's hand.
Jason's got his hand up.
Yeah, I can actually, just listening to this, I'll check about creating a hybrid option for that. And you're correct, Eddie, that the reservation is really about the dinner, and we can look and see what we can do. We were actually going to, you know, we are the hosting this, and we were going to have it in our building, but we are preparing to vacate our building for a huge capital improvement project. And so we actually don't have the conference space, and so we're using Greater Albany.
That's exciting.
It
Cool.
is exciting, yeah. That's what, you know, when you save money gradually over time, and loans are cheap right now, so we're actually
As I
able to.
recall, it's a much needed.
It is, yeah. It's been a long time, and so we're gonna set things up for the next 30 or 40 years.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do any other board members have anything for the good of the order before we adjourn?
Just a quick one, Liz.
Uh-huh.
Eddie sent out an invitation that I think we got from Newport High Counseling. That
Mhm.
we're invited to coffee and pastries on.
Yep,
Thursday
I've already
morning.
sent. I've already acknowledged I'll be there.
Okay.
You gonna be there, Peter?
I think I'm gonna go. I'm not at 7:15.
Come
But-
on.
If we're there as a more than two people as a board, then we still have to be kind of careful about not to discuss board business.
That's
and
true,
so
but
on.
I've already told him I'd be there, so.
I'm going to be out of town, so I won't attend. I offered to buy the pastries for the event, and they
Oh.
turned me down.
Oh,
So anyway, so I guess you're going to get day-old cookies. I don't know.
So guys, it's
Gosh.
Counselor Appreciation Week, just so that you know. All of the counselors in all 12 of our buildings would love to get some appreciation. So just saying. And so because Mike represents Newport, that would be very appropriate.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's a good way to look at that.
Thank you for mentioning the counseling week, because
If he hadn't, if I would have, so.
if you can make a
Okay.
point to check in with the counselors at any of the schools, that would be
I
awesome.
sent him a response, so.
All right. Mike, you have anything before we adjourn?
No, I don't.
Thank you. Cynthia.
I just want to tell you that the Tongan people are good. with
Oh, that's
their
good to hear.
Yes,
With their tsunami and family are alive, they're gonna have a
Oh,
lot
good.
of cleaning up
Oh,
to do.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'll be digging out from under the ash, though.
They'll
Yeah.
rain.
Because it's been an awesome meeting, and I really appreciate everyone's input, and very informative when we got a lot of work done. And I'm just looking forward to working together with everybody, some real teamwork going on here. So good night, and everybody have a good evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Liz, for chairing the
Meeting
meeting.
is
Really
adjourned.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
job,
Thank
Liz.
you.
Thank
See you.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Night.